Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tinju. It's been a while and I'm currently a third year medical student. Today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about my first week of my first clerkship rotation of general surgery. Let's get into it, guys. I started my first in-hospital rotation literally this week and it was very challenging. So I just want to share with you guys a little bit of my experience, how I prepared for it, and how totally unprepared I felt for it. And I was super lost going into it. And it took a really hard and long time to get adjusted to. But the hours are unreal. The learning curve is super steep. The vast amount of information that you're just taking in is overwhelming because it's your first rotation. You don't know what to expect. It's like your first time, like for me at least, in the hospital, learning how the system work. And on top of that, you also expected to know like medicine, like general surgery, like all the different operations and the procedures, all the paperwork that you gotta do. There's so much to take in, guys. And it was very hard. It was very challenging, but also you learn a lot. How did I prepare? I got my textbooks that I needed and Anki all ready and set up on my iPad mini. I got an iPad mini just so I can bring it to the hospital and use it for clerkship. Which textbook that I use is gonna be Surgical Recall, Pestana's Surgical Handbook, Surgery Case Files, NMS Surgical Cases. So I have all these on my iPad, but let me tell you that I have not go through all of them, and I will go tell you for the next video about which books I actually did use. I also got a pen clip for my Apple Pencil. I got a surgical scrub cap. I also bought myself a shear scissors pulse oximeter that I ended up not even using. And I watched a bunch of videos on how to sutures and tying knots, surgery knots, and removing sutures and staples and all such. So let's get to the real deal. First day that I showed up, we had orientation at 7 a.m. and we were told to dress professionally, which I did, but I did not know that we were supposed to bring scrubs and sneakers to change into afterward. No one told me this. Communication wasn't great. They literally just email you and tell you to show up at the site, go to the orientation, expected to be in the service the day of. So we were put in the OR after the orientation, and I had to get a pair of scrubs from the hospital, which if you're gonna be in the OR, you need to use hospital scrubs anyway, but I did not have my sneakers on. So I was wearing my Allen Edmonds shoes for literally 10 hours the whole day. And my feet were killing me at the end of the day, guys. So by around 6 p.m., 1800 hours, we were sent home for the day to prepare for the next day. Early pre-rounds. So that was my first day. And I thought 7 a.m. was early, but I had to wake up at 4 a.m. the next day because I had to be at the hospital at 4:45, 4:30 in the morning. So I can do a pre-round on all my patients. Usually med students are assigned about 3 to 4 patients that we need to keep track of and update progress notes, see how they did overnight, so that by 6:30 a.m. is when sign-outs start. We were expected to know everything about the patients. We are supposed to type up the progress notes about what happened overnight. Considering it's my first day, technically the first day and my first week of literally my first rotation, I showed up 2 hours early to try hopefully finish. It was nerve-wracking. I was so tired. So lo and behold, it did take me literally 2 hours just to see 3 patients because I got lost walking around the hospital. I couldn't find certain rooms. The layouts of each floor was kind of different. The supply rooms had different codes that I had to ask the nurse for to get supplies. It was a mess. It took me 2 hours just to literally round on 3 patients and type up the notes. And the worst thing was that I wasn't really sure what the SOAP note was supposed to be like for general surgery. Like each resident, each attending kind of like them differently. So I had to go through the previous notes to see how they kind of did it. And I kind of tailor my notes according to how they like it, that I think they like. So that took a while also. At 6:30 after sign out, we will start rounding with the team. I am on general surgery team 2. So it was me and about 4 or 5 other med students, and we would round with the interns and the resident of the day. and the attending would come later during the day. So after round, we would go to our respective duty for the day with our team. So that's either OR, consult, or clinic. In the OR, I had to learn how to scrub in properly, and fortunately a more experienced medical student was helping me out, and the OR nurse and scrub techs were also very helpful. So if you guys need any help, you ever get lost, you can ask them, introduce yourself, ask for their names, and usually if they're not busy, they're very willing to kind of explain the procedure, explain the details of what you need to do to keep the fuse sterile. Because personally for me, this was literally my first, second time or third time in my life to be in the OR. So everything was super new, super foreign to me. I was super nervous, just being, hearing about keeping sterile food and everything. But the horror stories that you guys hear about scrub techs and OR nurses that, not necessarily true, because I met a lot of OR nurses and scrub techs that were very nice and helpful, and they're willing to help you out. But then again, there's always some truth to the story, the stereotypes. There are going to be some scrub techs and OR nurses that can be very mean to you. So you want to figure those people out and kind of not ask too many questions with that. But I think your best resource would be your fellow medical students who's kind of a little more experienced than you. Make sure you write your name on the whiteboard for whichever operating room you're going to be in. First and last name, and then medical student, whichever year, 3 or 4. And some scrub techs also tell me to write my glove size next to my name so they can just grab it for me. Make sure you introduce yourself to the residents and the attendings that you're going to be operating with. Another some tips I have noticed is that you want to make sure you have scissors whenever you see them suture, so you can ask the scrub tech for a pair of scissors, and you can be prepared to cut the sutures and have suction ready when they are cauterizing the wound. Have the suction ready, suck up all the fumes, and just kind of push in there and suck up all the blood that comes out and kind of fluids. For consult, you have to take a good history and physical of the patient that you're being consulted for, and just keep good communication with the intern and resident that you're working with for the day. So usually each student get 1 day per week. And usually if it's a light day, you can use this opportunity to study throughout the day. Sometime when it's a light day, I actually get through all my Euro questions and finish all my Anki cards before the day ends. So I was also responsible for showing up to each trauma alert and activation to help take notes for the resident or the attending that's going to be helping with the trauma. And then in clinic, you are seeing patients for follow-up usually, or a new referral from their primary care doctor. Either they need surgery or they're following up for wound care. That's what you're going to be doing for clinic. Usually I see about 5 to 6 patients during clinic for the whole day. Your medical students, I think the best way to learn during clinic is just try to take a good history, do a good exam, and figure out the management and plan by yourself before you present to the resident and the attending. And then after that, you also need to type up the whole note about the patient, including all the management and plan also. So this is something new for me, because we've never really learned management and plan during my first and second year. So this was a tough part to get a hold of. Some of my thoughts and tips on after my first week of general surgery is, so surgery rounding is actually very fast, and the attending and resident one are very precise and just like a short presentation with any pertinent changes. First day I prepared a very thorough history of the patient, and they actually never even asked about it. But it wouldn't hurt for you to be prepared. Something that I noticed, that 24-hour input and output is a must. Ask the nurses usually for the changes overnight. Prepare the supplies ahead of time. If the patient requires wound care, I've noticed that every time we have like a heavy patient load would require wound care and dressing changes, I had to run back and forth to the supply room to grab supplies. So now I actually carry around lots of supplies that I prepare ahead of time. One thing to notice is that you don't want to bring them to every single patient's room and put them there and then bring them to the next patient's room, because you can end up tracking infections, and it's actually not advisable for you to do this. But I do it, but I try to make it a good point and keep it out of the patient's room, maybe on the nurse's counter or on a cart somewhere before we go in the patient's room. And then I will try to guess what they need ahead of time and grab it ahead of time. Then we need more, I run back out of the room and grab it. but don't bring these boxes from patient's room to patient's room. And if you must, try not to touch anything in the room and then touch the box. Learn as much as you can about your patient's conditions and illness, and pretend as though you are the doctor in charge, because I found that if I do this, I actually learn a lot more about the illness and how to manage and care for the patient. And then after that, you can compare your management and plan with what the resident and the attending does, and that's how I learn. It will also help you ask relevant questions during rounds when, let's say, if the attending, give a plan that's different from what you expect. Then you can kind of follow up that with, oh, why would we want to do that, or why wouldn't you do this instead? So that's a good way for you to learn and also help make you look prepared during rounds. And let me just say this, guy, I have never been so tired in my life. You thought M1, M2 was bad when you had to stay up and cram all-nighter for the tests, but literally this is every single day you're cramming for the test, and it's hard. I'm trying hard to go to sleep early, but waking up 4:30, 4 in the morning is tough. Even going to bed early, your body is just not going to be able to go to sleep so early. But the sleep deprivation really adds up for me by the end of the week. Well, Friday I just feel like a zombie. So I don't know how the interns and the resident does it, doing 24-hour calls, maybe like every other day, or like 12-hour calls back to back. I don't know how to do it. Just respect to all the doctors out there. It's crazy. And at this point, guys, I don't know how I'm gonna find time to work out. I haven't worked out at all for the past week, and I don't see myself being able to find time to work out at all for the next few weeks of my rotation. This is very tough. Hopefully it will get better, and I'll get better at managing my time, but I will barely have time to study when I get home. And depending on the day, sometimes you can get studying done during the day, but you need OR all day and you're doing back-to-back cases. It's tough to get studying in. You have consults all day, typing up notes. Sometimes it's hard to get studying in. And then when you get home, it's just super tired. And it's also really hard for you to try to study for the shelf, doing Euro and doing Anki cards, when you just trying to navigate a whole new system of the hospital, of Meditech, of like the EMR system, of how to write notes, of what kind of template the resident or attending likes, just like what supplies they want to use. Like all these little things you learn from scratch is hard. Also, having to wear an N95 mask all day is killing me. My face was marked everywhere by the time lunchtime hit, like the end of the day. But hopefully I'll get used to it later. Alright, just to wrap everything up, guys. I am learning a tons, all this complaining that I'm making, but I am actually learning a tons, and I am very glad for this opportunity. I hope to get used to the schedule soon, and hope to get back on uploading more frequently for you guys. I am going to do a review of all the textbook and resources that I'm using for the rotation, so watch out for the next few videos. As of this point, I haven't actually had time to read much. I've just been try to watch at least 1 or 2 online med-ed videos a day, do 10 work questions for me, and finish all my Anki card reviews for the day. If you guys find this video helpful, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't for more contents like these. Comment below what you guys want to see more, any question you guys might have, and I will respond, or someone else will. Until next time, see ya.
Ooh, I could play the background. Yeah, I could play the background. Cause I know sometimes I get in the way. So won't you take the lead, lead. Won't you take the lead, lead. I could play the background, and you could take the lead.